There are days that pass without notice, and then there are days that are circled in heaven before they ever hit the earth. August 7, 2025 is not just a date on a calendar, it's a divine alert on the prophetic timeline. This is not a moment for business as usual, routine religion, or spiritual autopilot. When heaven speaks, the earth must respond, and this day has been marked by the Almighty not for comfort, but for confrontation of hearts, of systems, of destinies. Something is shifting in the atmosphere, something is stirring in the spirit, and we've been summoned not just to witness it, but to walk in it. You didn't just show up for another word. You've stepped into a warning, a wake-up call, a window into what God is about to do next. Divine disruptions are heaven's announcements every now and then. The fabric of time is torn open by the hands of the eternal, and what was supposed to be an ordinary day suddenly becomes a holy interruption. August 7, 2025 will not be a normal day, not because of any event man has planned, but because heaven has spoken. When God disrupts the rhythm of our routine, it's never accidental, it's intentional. It's an announcement that something greater is coming. Every divine disruption is a signal flare from the throne room, a trumpet blast to the soul, and August 7 has been prophetically marked as a day when heaven will interrupt earth. Throughout Scripture, we see this pattern again and again. Ordinary days, days like any other, were suddenly flipped into divine encounters. Moses was tending sheep on what seemed like a regular day, but a burning bush turned it into a divine disruption. Elijah was hiding in a cave, waiting to die, but a whisper from the wind called him back to purpose. Saul was on the road to Damascus, fully confident in his own agenda, until a light from above blinded him and redirected his life forever. These were not just moments, they were announcements. God used disruption to declare a transition, and the Spirit is whispering to the remnant today. August 7, 2025 is a day of holy interruption. It's not on the radar of the world, but it's flashing red in the Spirit. Why? Because disruption always precedes elevation. God doesn't shift things without purpose. When He breaks the normal, He is preparing the supernatural. If you feel like things are being shaken in your life, your peace, your plans, your people, it's because He's preparing you for a moment that's bigger than your comfort. This kind of disruption isn't about chaos, it's about divine construction. Sometimes God has to tear down our systems to reveal His sovereignty. On August 7, the ordinary will collide with the eternal, and many will not even realize what's happening because they've grown too comfortable with predictability. But for those who are watching in the Spirit, there is a sound in the heavens, and it's not a sound of business as usual. It's the sound of boots hitting the battlefield. It's the sound of scrolls being unsealed. It's the sound of a trumpet waking up the sleeping army of God. It's the sound of destiny calling louder than distraction. If you're still living like every day is common, you'll miss the announcement. You'll miss the fire in the bush. You'll miss the whisper in the wind. You'll miss the knock at the door that shifts everything. Divine disruptions never come with polite warnings. They break in, they shake things, they expose what's been hidden, and they reposition what's been stuck. And here's what makes this moment different. God is not just disrupting individuals. He's disrupting regions, systems, families, and foundations. There is a collective call to attention being released in this hour. And August 7, 2025 is a mile marker in the Spirit. It will mark the beginning of a shaking that doesn't come to destroy, but to deliver. It will feel uncomfortable, even chaotic, but don't confuse discomfort with defeat. Disruption is proof that heaven is involved. God disrupts what we've settled in so he can release what we've been praying for. You've asked for revival, but revival doesn't come without disruption. You've prayed for breakthrough, but breakthrough doesn't come without breaking. You've cried out for a new season, but new seasons require the death of the old ones. On August 7, we will see the birthing pains of a new prophetic wave. Some will feel it as pressure, others as a push, but the discerning will know it's God. He's not just shifting atmospheres, he's shifting assignments. The place you've been spiritually is no longer enough for where he's taking you. So don't mourn the mess. Recognize the message in it. The job you lost, the relationship that fell apart, the doors that closed. These were not the enemy's attacks. They were divine setups. You've been positioned for this interruption. You've been prepared for this moment. August 7 is not a destination. It's a launch pad. It's not the end of something. It's the ignition of something unstoppable. But here's the warning. If you try to hold onto the old while God is ushering in the new, you will find yourself caught in a disruption without direction. This is not a time to cling to comfort. It's a time to move with the cloud. When the pillar of fire moved in the wilderness, Israel had to move with it or be left behind. August 7 will be a pillar, movement day. The cloud will shift, and those who are watching will shift with it. Those who are stuck in patterns of religion, performance, and passive faith will feel lost. But those who are hungry, ready, and obedient will find fresh fire. This is not hype. This is heaven's headline. And when God declares a day to be uncommon, the wise prepare like it's war. Because it is. There is warfare connected to this date. Spiritual battles that will intensify, strategies from hell that will be exposed, and angelic assignments that will be released. Heaven's calendar is not silent, it is speaking. And it is saying, prepare. Prepare your altar, prepare your heart, prepare your family, clean out the compromise, cut off the distractions, build the place where his presence can dwell, because when he disrupts, he doesn't just visit, he inhabits. Those who are aligned will experience unusual favor, divine clarity, and fresh anointing. But those who are casual will miss the move. You can't receive the new while holding on to the old wineskin. It will burst. This is a time of prophetic urgency, not religious routine. So lift your eyes, tune your ears, wake up your spirit. August 7, 2025 is not just another Thursday. It's not just another chapter. It's a divine announcement from heaven that says, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Everything in the kingdom begins with perception. If you don't perceive the disruption, you won't receive the direction. And if you miss the direction, you'll miss the destiny tied to this moment. So shake off the slumber. Cast off the fear, stand in faith, because when God disrupts, he also delivers. When he shakes, he also shifts. When he speaks, he never stutters. And when he says a day will not be normal, you can guarantee heaven will make it unforgettable. Prophetic days carry purpose, not panic when heaven marks a day. It's never random, and it's never rooted in fear. It is purpose in motion, prophecy in fulfillment, and destiny stepping into the daylight. August 7, 2025 is not a day for panic, it's a day of prophetic purpose. It's not a trap, it's a trigger. It's not a curse, it's a call. Far too many of God's people have been conditioned by the spirit of fear to treat every divine shift as a threat instead of a threshold. But when God points to a day on the calendar, it's not to scare you. It's to prepare you. Heaven doesn't traffic in fear. Heaven operates in divine strategy. And this day, this unusual day, has been etched in eternity as a day when purpose overrides panic and prophecy overrides predictability. All throughout biblical history, when God announced a set time, it was often misunderstood by those untrained in discernment. The flood was a prophetic day. But the people panicked too late. The Exodus was a prophetic day, but Pharaoh saw it as a problem instead of a pivot. Pentecost was a prophetic day, but some mocked it instead of moving with it. The pattern is clear. When God announces a day, we can either posture ourselves in faith or paralyze ourselves in fear. But let me declare it now. August 7 is not a day to shrink back. It's a day to step up. It's not a time to run in confusion. It's a moment to rise with clarity. There's a holy agenda behind this disruption, and those who understand its purpose will be positioned for promotion while others freeze in panic. This is why discernment is critical in this hour. Not every shake-up is a setup from the enemy. Many are divine setups for breakthrough. If you filter everything through fear, you will label God's movement as man's mistake. You will call a blessing a burden and a new beginning a threat. Panic makes people irrational. It makes them retreat when they should advance. But prophetic purpose anchors your soul even when everything else around you is shifting. And August 7 is the kind of day that will expose whether you're rooted in fear or grounded in faith. This is a separating day, a threshing floor moment. God is not interested in crowds who cheer. He's looking for remnants who discern. The crowd will run at the sound of shaking, but the remnant will run toward it, knowing that what looks like chaos is often the birthplace of calling. God never sends a prophetic word without attaching purpose to it. So, if he says August 7 is different, then something is scheduled to be delivered. You may not know the full blueprint, but you must trust the builder. Panic tries to take the pen out of God's hand and rewrite the day in human terms. But purpose says, even when I don't see it, I trust that heaven is still in control. This is a wake-up call, not a warning to tremble, but a trumpet to prepare. And hear this clearly. Prophetic days are not days of coincidence. They are days when God intersects human time to release eternal plans. It is a moment of acceleration, a moment of revelation, a moment when what's been hidden begins to break the surface. Prophetic days carry layers. They don't just touch the spiritual realm. They impact governments, economies, families, ministries, and movements. On August 7, don't be surprised if decisions are made in high places that shake low places. Don't be surprised if the news doesn't know how to explain what the Spirit already revealed. Don't be surprised if sudden shifts, divine reversals, and unexpected visitations start to unfold. Because when purpose arrives, it doesn't knock politely. It walks in with power. It rearranges agendas. It exposes hidden motives. It uproots demonic strongholds. And it releases fresh anointing for those who are ready to walk in the new. But here's the key. Purpose is reserved for the prepared. If you've been watching, praying, fasting, listening, and obeying, you're not going to be caught off guard. You'll be caught up in the flow of what God is doing. Prophetic purpose doesn't hit everyone the same way. For the unprepared, it feels like disruption. For the prepared, it feels like release. For the fearful, it feels like confusion. For the faithful, it feels like confirmation. That's why August 7 is not a day to play guessing games. It's a day to be aligned. It's a day to have oil in your lamp. It's a day to be positioned in prayer, rooted in the Word, and surrendered to the Spirit. Because when prophetic purpose comes knocking, it doesn't wait for us to get ready. It moves with those already walking in readiness. Don't let religious tradition blind you to prophetic truth. Don't assume because you've never seen it before, it must not be real. God is doing a new thing, and He's not asking for permission to do it. He's announcing it, and either you perceive it or you get passed by it. August 7 is a threshold, not just a date. It's an open door into a season of divine fulfillment. Things that have been delayed will be delivered. Words that have been hanging in the air will suddenly drop into the earth. Assignments that have been resisted will be released with fire. This is not a panic season. It's a birthing season. You may feel pressure, but it's the pressure of transition. You may feel warfare, but it's because hell knows what heaven is about to release. Prophetic purpose always provokes demonic panic. That's why things may feel more intense around this time. But don't be distracted. Don't take the bait. Stay locked in. Stay grounded. Stay expectant, because what's coming is worth every moment of spiritual labor. August 7, 2025 is a prophetic door, and behind it is clarity, calling, correction, and commissioning. This isn't just personal. It's generational. It's national. It's global. God is aligning pieces of his end-time puzzle, and this day is part of that pattern. This is a time for watchmen to rise, intercessors to roar, and warriors to take their place. It's time for the church to stop reacting in fear and start responding in faith. It's time to move with the cloud, follow the fire, and obey the voice of the Spirit. You were not born to be paralyzed by prophetic days. You were born to walk through them with confidence, knowing that if he marked the day, he already made the way. So as this day approaches, don't fall into fear. Don't get caught up in social media noise or religious confusion. Get on your face before the Lord, get in alignment with his voice, get your house in order, get your spirit in position, and get ready to move. Because prophetic days are not interruptions, they are invitations. Invitations into glory, into warfare, into victory, into deeper intimacy. And August 7 is not the day to hide. It's the day to arise. The day to stand firm. The day to lift your head because your redemption draws near. It's not the day to panic. It's the day to fulfill purpose. God speaks loudest through shaking. There are times when God whispers, and there are times when he thunders. This is one of those times. August 7, 2025 will not come quietly. It will not slip past unnoticed like another date lost in the calendar. It will shake, and the shaking will not be punishment. It will be a proclamation. Because when God wants to get the attention of his people, he doesn't just speak in soft tones. He speaks through storms, through shifts, and through shaking. This is a moment where the foundations are about to tremble, not to destroy, but to distinguish what was built by him and what was built by man. When God shakes, he reveals. He doesn't shake what's rooted in him. He shakes everything else. The shaking that's coming on August 7 will not be felt just in the natural, but in the spirit. It will be felt in households, in pulpits, in cities, in hearts, in hidden places that have been covered for too long. Because when God begins to shake, nothing that is fake can stand. Scripture tells us in Hebrews 12:27 that everything that can be shaken will be shaken, so that only what cannot be shaken may remain. That means shaking is a strategy. It's not random, it's surgical. God doesn't waste a quake. He targets what's been falsely propped up by pride, tradition, religion, fear, and compromise. This shaking is coming to uncover idols that have sat comfortably on the thrones of hearts and altars. It's coming to bring down the stage lights and restore the glory light. The shaking is coming to tear down performances and resurrect true presence. We have built temples without tears, churches without conviction, services without surrender, and now the wind is coming. On August 7, the wind of God will not breeze by. It will roar, and when he breathes like that, nothing stays untouched. For too long we've asked God to speak while ignoring the ways he already is. Every storm in the Bible had a voice. The Red Sea didn't part without a sound. The earthquake that broke Paul and Silas free from prison wasn't just noise. It was a declaration, I am still in control. The shaking of Mount Sinai, I wasn't chaos, it was covenant. The torn veil at the crucifixion wasn't just symbolic, it was seismic. And in the same way, the shaking that's coming on August 7 is not to be feared. It is to be discerned. Because when God speaks loudest through shaking, he is actually showing mercy. He is disrupting the rhythm of rebellion and rerouting the flow of his people back to righteousness. We've prayed for revival, but we forgot that revival never comes quietly. It shakes, it convicts, it breaks before it builds. This is why August 7 is significant. This day will be a line in the sand for many. It will separate the echo from the voice, the pretender from the prophet, the crowd from the called. Those who have built ministries, marriages, and mindsets on convenience will feel the tremble. But those who have been hidden, humbled, and hungry will rise through the rumble. God speaks loudest through shaking because shaking silences the noise. It silences the opinions. It silences the distractions. And it centers the soul. When the ground beneath your feet starts to move, you're forced to reevaluate what you're really standing on. Are you anchored in the unshakable word, or are you balanced on shallow sand? Are you moved by public applause, or are you rooted in private prayer? When everything else falls, what remains? That's the question this day will answer. This kind of spiritual earthquake doesn't just collapse structures. It calls out remnant voices. You see, when things begin to shake, it creates a sound, and that sound becomes a signal to those who are listening. Prophets will hear the vibration before the world feels the impact. Intercessors will begin to stir in the middle of the night without knowing why. Worshippers will feel the atmosphere shift in their homes before the headlines shift on the news. This shaking will release fresh oil from cracked vessels. It will pull songs out of silence. It will turn hidden ones into heralds. But it will not come without a cost. Because when God speaks through shaking, he is not just announcing change. He is demanding alignment. There are things we've tolerated that can't come with us into this next move. There are relationships that feel stable but are built on spiritual sand. There are habits that have gone unchecked, altars that have grown cold, assignments that have been delayed. And the shaking is heaven's way of saying no more. No more delay. No more excuses. No more blending light with darkness. August 7 will confront lukewarm living. It will confront spiritual laziness. It will confront mixture. Because when God shakes a thing, he doesn't just move the surface. He exposes the root. And whatever has been hidden will come into the light. This is not a gentle reminder. It is a holy collision. The kind of shaking that wakes you up from spiritual sleepwalking and pushes you into divine destiny. The shaking is not for destruction. It's for direction. It's not for terror, it's for transition. It's not for confusion, it's for confirmation. And those who have been walking faithfully, even in obscurity, will begin to see divine reversal. God is going to use the shaking to reverse the roles. The overlooked will be positioned, the silenced will be released, the last will be first, but the proud will fall, the religious will be rattled, the unrepentant will feel the weight. Because the God who speaks through shaking does not play with sin. He does not negotiate with rebellion. He does not delay judgment when mercy has already been extended again and again. So, what must we do in the face of such a day? We prepare, we purify, we posture ourselves in surrender, we stop pretending and start repenting, we open our ears and close our mouths, we go low so he can lift us up, we clean our altars, reset our focus and renew our vows, because the shaking is not coming to destroy you, it's coming to deliver you, it's coming to break off what has bound you, open what has been locked, and ignite what has been dormant. And if you let it shake you, it will also shape you. It will push you into maturity. It will activate your mantle. It will call you into consecration. This is not a casual moment. This is a divine mandate. When God speaks loudest through shaking, it is always an invitation to deeper encounter. Don't resist it. Don't fear it. Don't ignore it. Embrace it. Lean into it. Let the wind blow through your house. Let the fire refine your heart. Let the shaking break off everything you were never meant to carry, because after the shaking comes the settling. After the tremble comes the testimony, and when the dust clears, those who have stood on the rock will still be standing. So mark August 7 not with fear, but with fire. Mark it not as a disruption, but as a declaration. Heaven is speaking, and it's not speaking softly. It is roaring through the shaking, and the only question left is this: will you be listening? Alignment precedes assignment. There is a divine order in the kingdom, a holy rhythm that cannot be bypassed, rushed, or faked. And in that order, alignment always comes before assignment. You cannot walk in what God has called you to carry if your life is out of sync with His will. August 7, 2025 is not just a date for revelation. It's a date for realignment. It's a moment where heaven demands that every spiritual joint come into place, every heart come under authority, and every destiny come into divine order. Too many want the mantle without the maturity, the influence without the integrity, the platform without the posture, and the Spirit of God is sounding the alarm: get in alignment. Because when divine assignments are released, only those properly positioned will be able to receive them. You cannot carry kingdom weight with a crooked walk. You cannot hold the glory with dirty hands. You cannot be trusted with heaven's blueprints if you're still living with earthbound priorities. And on August 7, the heavens will evaluate alignment. This will be more than a shift in the atmosphere. It will be a recalibration of destinies. The hidden places of your life, your motives, your habits, your heart will be weighed, not for punishment, but for preparation. Because if you're not aligned, you're not ready. This is why the waiting season has felt heavy. This is why the silence has been loud. This is why some doors haven't opened yet. Because God doesn't send divine assignments to chaotic vessels. And this day is a prophetic checkpoint, a spiritual MRI where the Lord examines His people and positions those whose hearts are loyal and surrendered. Alignment is not just about behavior, it's about agreement. It's about agreeing with heaven's agenda even when it costs you. It's about agreeing with His timing, His process, His refining, even when it doesn't make sense. When your soul is aligned with God's Spirit, you don't move ahead of Him, and you don't lag behind. You walk in step with His voice. And that's exactly what He's calling for in this hour. August 7 is about alignment with holiness, with purity, with obedience. It's about shaking off compromise and stepping into clarity. And make no mistake, this is not a call for perfection, but for positioning. God is not looking for polished people. He's looking for surrendered ones. He's looking for those who are willing to be stretched, humbled, corrected, and sent. And He will not place holy fire into unclean hands. The reason some have been feeling a divine tension, a pull, a pressing, a stripping, is because heaven is aligning them for something greater. Assignments that carry weight require vessels that are clean, sturdy, and obedient. And the only way to get there is through alignment. Think of Joseph. Before he ever stepped into Pharaoh's palace, he had to survive the pit, the prison, and the process. But through it all, he stayed aligned. He didn't allow bitterness, distraction, or entitlement to derail his posture. He remained aligned in character, in integrity, in submission. That's why when his assignment came knocking, he was ready. David was anointed as a boy, but he didn't run to the throne. He ran to the fields, then to the cave, and eventually to the crown. He had to get aligned through isolation, warfare, and waiting. Esther didn't step into her assignment as queen until her heart aligned with the cry of her people. She had to trade comfort for courage and safety for surrender. Alignment always precedes assignment, and that's what August 7 is, a divine Esther moment. It is the day when God asks, "Are you ready to step into what I've called you to, or will you remain stuck in what's familiar?" Because what's coming cannot be carried by the casual. It must be carried by the consecrated. We've glamorized calling and neglected alignment. We want purpose without purification. We want elevation without examination. But heaven doesn't work like that. Before God sends a word through you, he tests the word in you. Before he releases power through your life, he purges the pride within your life. Assignment is heavy. It costs. And before that weight is released, your spirit must be aligned enough to handle it without crumbling. God is not releasing small tasks in this hour. He's releasing governmental mantles, kingdom blueprints, revival fire. And those who are out of sync will be spectators while the aligned become participants. That's why August 7 is a crossroads. The alignment is about more than your church attendance or your social media faith. It's about the condition of your altar, the depth of your surrender, the truth of your worship, the posture of your obedience. Alignment means you don't just hear the word, you live it. It means you don't just post about holiness, you pursue it in private. It means you don't just prophesy, you pray when no one's looking. It means your yes means yes, your no means no, and your life bears the fruit of the Spirit even in pressure. God is not impressed by religious hype. He's moved by hidden obedience. And if he's going to release assignments that shake nations, shift cities, and heal generations, he will only entrust them to those who have aligned their character, calendar, and calling with his presence. August 7 will be an open heaven for those in divine alignment. It will be a day of commissioning, confirming, and clarifying. You may receive direction you've been waiting on for years. You may get clarity on where to go, who to leave, what to build, or what to break off. But none of that can come until your heart, your habits, and your house are aligned. So what must be done before this date arrives? You must take inventory. Examine every area of your life. Is your prayer life aligned with purpose, or has it been dulled by distraction? Is your time aligned with eternity, or is it wasted on the temporary? Are your relationships aligned with your calling, or are they pulling you away from your oil? Realignment means some things must be cut, some priorities must be flipped, some voices must be silenced, and some commitments must be restructured. And that's not punishment, that's preparation. Because when God sees a life in order, he releases oil. He releases authority. He releases blueprints. That's why hell has fought your alignment so hard. That's why distractions have increased, warfare has intensified, and apathy has crept in. Because the enemy knows what's about to be released when you finally get in position. August 7 is a divine pivot point. It's a reset for those who are willing to yield. For the aligned, it will be a day of divine visitation. For the stubborn, it may be a day of missed opportunity. But the choice is yours. You don't drift into alignment. You choose it. You posture yourself for it. You fight for it. You die to flesh for it. Because the assignment waiting on the other side of this date is greater than your current comfort. What's coming is heavy, but for the aligned it will also be holy. And when the time comes, those who are aligned will not just be handed instructions. They will be handed authority. Heaven will not only speak, they will be sent. So fix your gaze, clear the clutter, burn the idols, and prepare your spirit. Because the alignment you pursue now will determine the assignment you carry next. It's time to watch, war, and witness we are not in ordinary times, and August 7, 2025, is not an ordinary day. It is not a date for passive believers or distracted saints. It is a divine summons to rise, to see, to fight, and to testify. The Spirit of the Lord is declaring to the remnant, it's time to watch, it's time to war, and it's time to witness. This is not a season to sleepwalk through spiritual warfare or coast through casual Christianity. The moment demands vigilance, intercession, and boldness. Heaven is recruiting watchmen to the walls, warriors to the battlefield, and witnesses to the front lines of faith. There is a call going out, and those with spiritual ears must hear it. To watch means to be alert, to be spiritually awake and tuned to heaven's frequency. To war means to engage the enemy not with flesh and blood, but with spiritual authority, with prayer, fasting, declaration, and divine strategy. And to witness means to testify, not with fear, but with fire, of what God is doing, what He has spoken, and what He is about to release on the earth. Watching is not passive. It is prophetic posture. Jesus said to His disciples, "Watch and pray, lest you fall into temptation." In other words, spiritual slumber leads to spiritual sabotage, and in this hour, the Spirit is shaking the slumber off His people. August 7 will be a line drawn in the Spirit, separating the spiritually awake from the spiritually numb. Watchers will feel it before it happens. They will perceive what others dismiss. They will sense the movement in the spirit realm while the natural world is still distracted. This is why the enemy works overtime to dull your senses, to keep you so busy, so tired, so emotionally drained that you stop watching. Because if he can blind your eyes, he can breach your walls. But the Lord is calling forth a generation of seers, men and women who stand on the wall, who do not grow weary, who watch with holy intensity, who guard their families, churches, and nations with spiritual sensitivity. On August 7, those who have been watching will begin to see the fruit of their vigilance. Things that have been hidden will be revealed. Schemes of the enemy will be exposed. Blueprints from heaven will be downloaded. For the watcher, this day will be a confirmation. For the sleeper, it will be confusion. That's why the call is clear. Wake up, watch. The hour is late, but the glory is near. But watching alone is not enough. It must be paired with war. Because the moment you see what heaven is revealing, you must be ready to fight for it. Spiritual warfare is not optional. It's survival. Too many have treated prayer like an emergency line instead of a daily weapon. But in this season, you must war in prayer like never before. You must war for your children, war for your peace, war for your city, war for your assignment. August 7 will activate a new level of warfare because heaven is releasing new assignments. And every new assignment provokes fresh resistance. This is why the enemy has been agitating your mind, stirring conflict, breaking connections, and exhausting your spirit. He senses what's coming. The war is intensifying because the release is near. But the Lord has not left His people defenseless. He has armed us with the name above all names, the blood that still speaks, the word that never fails, and the Spirit who intercedes. You don't need to be afraid of the battle. You've been anointed for it. August 7 will be a day where warriors rise. Not the loudest, but the purest. Not the most popular, but the most surrendered. They may not have microphones, but they have mantles. They may not have titles, but they carry fire. These are the ones who don't back down from the fight because they know the war was already won at Calvary. Warfare requires endurance. It requires discipline. You can't swing a sword with one hand and hold onto sin with the other. You must be clean, focused, and clothed in the armor of God. The warriors of this hour must be both fierce and humble, bold and broken, strong in the spirit and soft toward the voice of God. This is not about emotional hype, it's about spiritual authority. And that authority only comes through intimacy. You can't fight the darkness if you haven't been in the light. You can't cast out what you secretly entertain. So before the battle begins, the Lord is saying, purify your heart. Shut the door to compromise, break agreement with fear, forgive who you need to forgive, because the level of warfare connected to August 7 requires a people who are unshakable, untouchable, and unstoppable, not because of their strength, but because of their surrender. And lastly, it's time to witness. To witness is to testify. It is to declare without shame or hesitation what God has done, what He is doing, and what He is about to do. This is not the season to be silent. August 7 is going to release a fresh boldness on the mouths of the remnant. There is a sound that has been locked up in your spirit for too long, and it's about to break out. This is the season where your silence is a liability. Heaven is looking for voices, not echoes. Witnesses who don't just repeat what others say, but who speak from the fire they've walked through. Your testimony carries authority because it cost you something. You've bled for it. You've wept for it. You've warred for it. Now it's time to speak it, because every witness carries the power to unlock someone else's freedom. This is why hell has tried to muzzle you, because your voice is dangerous. Your witness shakes chains. Your story births hope. And on August 7, the Lord is going to release divine appointments for you to speak what only you can speak. This will be a day when the hidden voices emerge. The rejected ones, the misunderstood ones, the ones who thought their season was over. Suddenly, you will find yourself in rooms you didn't apply for, in conversations you didn't initiate, in moments that were divinely orchestrated. But you must be ready. You must be bold. You must be clear. The time for passive faith is over. The world is growing louder in darkness, and the church must be louder in light. We cannot be quiet while evil parades in the open. We cannot be timid while hell boasts of its influence. We are witnesses. We carry the gospel of power, truth, deliverance, and eternal life. And August 7 is a line in the sand. Will you shrink or will you stand? Will you fade or will you speak? So watch, don't get distracted. Don't get numb. Don't fall back to sleep. Stay alert. Stay in the Word. Stay connected to the Spirit. War. Don't retreat. Don't second guess. Don't complain. Pick up your weapons. Fight from your knees. Fight with your praise. Fight with prophetic declaration and witness. Don't let shame silence you. Don't let culture cancel you. Don't let fear rob you. Speak, testify, proclaim, because the days of silence are over, and the days of divine demonstration have begun. August 7, 2025 is not just a moment. It is a movement. The watchmen are rising. The warriors are marching. The witnesses are speaking, and heaven is backing them all.